Hello, everybody, and welcome to our V1 webinar series hosted by Dan Heaney. My name is Anthony Medaglia. I'm an start from the top. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our V1 webinar series hosted by Dan Heaney. Dan's an online business coach dedicated to helping coaches grow their revenue and scale their impact. My name is Anthony Medaglia at V1, and if you've joined us before, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. And if this is your first time, you're in for a treat. Just a couple quick housekeeping items before we get started. If you missed last month's webinar on landing page strategies, a full recording is now available on our YouTube channel. Just search V1 Sports and make sure you check it out after this session. And if you have any questions about how we're supporting instructors growing their business, especially when it comes to online lessons, don't hesitate to reach out to us at sales@v1sports.com. We love to connect and help you take that next step. So without further ado, we'll kick it over to you, Dan.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be back this month. And in the session today, we're going to kind of put the pieces together that we've been compiling over the webinars previously, and we'll continue to expand upon in the future webinars that are coming up every single month. So this is going to be more of an overview of the system or the process to grow your online business and ultimately consistently get students that want to work with you and sign up to work with you as their coach completely online. So I'm going to dive into presentation. This is the 20K funnel map. So the goal of this presentation is to give you a step-by-step roadmap to creating. This is just an arbitrary number or goal for a coach, but creating a successful online revenue stream inside of your coaching business. And we're going to walk through 5 key components that you're going to want to have implemented and structured and set up to be able to do this systematically and with consistency over time. So the first thing that I do want to dive into is I will give you guys this presentation so you can access it after. I'll give it to the team at V1. They can send this out to you as a resource so you can reference back to. So this is a bit of a long intro. If you were reading through this, you'd understand exactly what this is going to cover. But it's just saying that we're going to cover a 20K a month funnel map for building your online business, exact steps and processes that you want to go through. This is going to be the overview. And then every single webinar that we've done before and after this, we'll compile or dive deeper into those individual components. So the first stage in building a successful online coaching business or component of your current business that is online is going to be content attraction. So we want to be able to produce content on the internet that lets more people outside of our local area know who we are, attracts them to our brand, and opens up the possibility of them signing up to work with us as their coach. So there's 4 key proven content formats that I want you focused on, specifically on short form content platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, that will help you to get more exposure and potential prospects interested in what you do. Next month on the webinar, we're going to dive deeper into specifically social media. So if this stuff interests you and you want a more deep dive into implementing these strategies and some of the tactical stuff behind it, definitely book that or mark that on your calendar and attend with us live next month as well. The 4 proven content formats that you're going to want to use to start to position yourself as an authority and generate an audience online is going to be talking head videos. This is the classic. You in front of the camera, filming a drill, talking about specific insights about the game, just giving value to your audience that is going to help them to play better golf and showing up with your personality on camera. You're going to want to make sure that these are concise, condensed to probably 60 seconds or less. I know that will be hard for some coaches, and that there's a certain style of editing, which again, we'll get into more detail next month on the webinar then. But you want to make sure that this is positioned in the right way for the platform. So it's quick, it's concise, it's to the point, there's captions, it's edited well, it's in a 9:16 format. All these things are really important. Other formats that you can use, green screen and voiceover. So doing swing analysis, you can use the platforms that you have access to through V1 to be able to have a student's recorded swing that you do a voiceover analysis on, and then repurpose that content on social media. That is an amazing way to build trust in your authority as a coach online. You can also do this of professional swings, which again, you have access to a myriad of professional swings through the V1 app that you can do this and then repurpose and post that content on social media. You can also go over core strategy techniques using things like Google Maps to be able to show how you would play different holes, or simple apps like 18 Birdies, whatever you like that has a GPS overview of a course that you can walk somebody through decision making. That can be a great content piece. You can do visual overlays and demonstrations where you just talk over the video that is keeping people entertained and engaged in the background. You can stitch and react content. I don't see enough coaches doing stuff like this, but talking about current events, tournaments that just happened, controversial statements, things that are going on in the industry, and putting out your 2 cents opinions on that is really valuable for just establishing your opinion on the internet, which is ultimately your brand. And then the last one's going to be the B-roll content. So this is taking 4 to 15 second videos of drills that you're demonstrating, a swing, a shot on the course, and then having most of the value delivered in text overlays. Again, if these don't 100% make sense to you right now, come next month, we'll dive deeper into all this stuff, but this will give you some ideas of the type of content you need to start creating to attract potential prospects on the internet. When we talk about topics, so what are the things that we want to cover inside of these different formats of videos? We really want to focus on identifying the problem of our ideal client, providing solutions for those problems, proving that we know that we do what we say we know how to do, which is just showing that we've produced results for our clients, or diving deeper into insightful content that shows us as the authority. And then we want to be useful and actually give implementable steps for these prospects to get better. These quick wins will help to establish a relationship and build the trust and potentially buying from you long term. Overall, the big things inside of content is that we are regularly and consistently producing it, and we are going with proven formats that work on the platform we're trying to attract an audience on. And through that process, this is top of funnel. This is the very first thing that needs to happen. Everything else that's going to come after this is kind of downstream of being able to get attention on the internet. Some other key factors in posting content and generating traffic will be, we want a consistent publishing schedule, 3 to 7 pieces of short form content on a platform like Instagram every single week. You want to track the performance metrics behind the content you're putting out there. So it's not just a post and hope or post and pray approach. We want to look at the data that we're getting back and iterate very quickly and try to improve. And we want to be strategic in repurposing the content that we're already creating. Something that I tell my coaching clients all the time is that you are already producing content. You're just not filming it and putting it on social media, because you're already spending every single day coaching your clients in lessons, demonstrating things for them. You could be filming that and repurposing that content. And also anything that you create can be repurposed across multiple platforms. And videos that you made 3 months ago, you can repost them today, because the likelihood that someone remembers that tip or will even recognize that it is being reposted is very slim to none. And even if they do recognize, they probably need a reminder on that tip anyway. So being smart in the way that we create our content, but then repurpose it in many different ways, will make it as efficient as possible. So this is step one. If we don't have content on social media, if we're not putting ourselves out there, if we're not building our brand, very hard to attract clients to work with us in the online setting. Step two, once we have people aware of us, they are potentially following us, interacting or engaging with our content, really important to take this next step, not to simply just expect that they will know what to do and naturally sign up. We need to have lead capture. And this is why V1 has implemented building out landing pages for coaches, because they understand the importance of lead capture. So getting the contact information of a potential prospect is how we then further nurture this relationship and bring more of these people that are just engaging with us on social media to becoming closer to working with us as a client. So lead capture, what we want to create here is free resources, lead magnets, micro magnets, as I call them here, that deliver an initial experience and initial value in exchange for contact information. So this is just giving a prospect the ability to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in getting more from you, getting more of your help, having a next experience. That will allow us to identify the people that are most likely to sign up to work with us. So we want to strategically develop these over time. You don't have to have a ton of them. Start with one, start putting it out there, and build these resources over time. But some ideas for you. We have problem-specific resources like PDF guides that solve a very specific problem, something like 5 fixes for your over-the-top swing, or a 3-step pre-shot routine for pressure situations. These resources deliver immediate value, and they showcase the unique way that you would solve this problem and also start to build a relationship with you. We can also come up with framework templates. So we can have structured practice plans that we give away, evaluation checklists. We can have progress tracking sheets or data tracking sheets, stat tracking sheets. And these tools will give the prospect a taste of what it's like to work with you inside of your system, approach, or methodology. We want quick win tools as well. So if we can provide simple drills, video analysis, which is a common one, mental game exercises that will produce immediate wins, results, progress for this potential prospect or client. And that will immediately deliver value, build confidence in the prospect and what you do as a coach. The steps to this is we need a trigger, right? So we have to have some way of the prospect raising their hand to show interest. On platforms like Instagram, which I'm a fan of, you can do that through DMs and comments. And then once they comment or DM, we start a conversation in Messenger. We send them this valuable thing in exchange for their email. Now they are a contact. From there, we have the ability to follow up in email, and we have the ability to follow up in a direct message conversation with them. And the next step after we capture a lead and start to follow up with them, send them this thing of value, is to start to qualify the prospect to make sure they are a good fit for what we do. And then through conversation and email, in DMs, and on a potential phone call, we can bridge the gap between where they are right now as someone that might be interested to actually becoming a client. Next stage in the process is really important. And I think most coaches, when it goes to online, don't have a good system or process for doing this well, which is nurture and qualification. This is why getting contact information is so important. This is why starting direct message conversations with prospects is so important, because both of those give you the opportunity to follow up consistently. This is an example of a basic email sequence that you could set up. Once you have a landing page that is collecting these emails, where you're doing that through messages, again, you'll have this resource to refer back to. So I won't go into detail on this, but you want something that automatically gets sent out over the course of 7 days, as in this example, that will build the relationship with this prospect and get them to the point of potentially wanting to purchase. And even if they don't right now, they will be so much more inclined to in the future because you took the time to build the relationship here. In the nurture process, we also want to qualify. I have conversations all the time with coaches about the quality of the lead and, not wasting time on people that aren't committed to the process of actually getting better. And at the beginning, you want less qualification, less friction, and you can add this over time. But it is nice to get these questions answered and know a bit more about this potential client through this process. The things we want to understand are how committed are they to practicing? If they don't have time to practice, then they're not going to do the things that you prescribe to them to improve. And those are not clients that any of us want. You want to understand their past experience, so what they've tried before to get this done. You want to subtly have a money qualification to understand maybe what they do for work, what other areas they've spent to help improve their game. So have they upgraded their clubs? Have they been fitted for clubs? Have they gone to in-person lessons before? What are their buying behaviors in this hobby of golf? And if they've tried a lot of things and spent a lot of money to potentially solve this before in the past, then they're likely a good fit to invest in your coaching solution. And then we want to understand their specific problem. So what are they dealing with? And is that a problem that we can solve? And those things, if we figure out those 4 things, we can really have a great idea of if this is a qualified prospect or not. This step is crucial in the entire map to building an online business, because this is where a lot of the drop off typically happens. Most of the prospects that come into your world are not going to be ready to buy right now, but they will buy at some point in the future if we have a nurture, qualification, and follow-up process in place. If we never follow up with people, the vast majority of those that come into our world are going to go buy elsewhere because they stopped hearing from you. So I learned this from a mentor a very long time ago, that typically in any given pool of people, let's say 50% of your prospects that show initial interest, become a lead, a follower, a conversation, won't buy from you anytime soon or ever. The other 50%, there's about 15% of those people that will buy in the next 90 days. And then what is left is people that will buy anywhere from 90 days to 2+ years into the future. So the vast majority of your potential clients just aren't ready yet. They need more time. And that is hard to see or to track, but that's why we want a process that allows us to follow up consistently. And email is one of the best ways to do that, regularly sending communications there to nurture people over time. Stage 4, vitally important as well, it's going to be a conversion. So it's actually getting the person to sign up for your program, your coaching experience, to buy lessons from you online. And the best way to do that, especially getting started, is not a link in bio. It is to have a call with an individual, to build a relationship through that process, and then to guide them in making the best decision for them, which, if we've done the qualification right, will probably be to work with you as their coach. So inside of this, I highly recommend that the way that you get clients to sign up with you is to take a call with them, Zoom or phone call or Google Meet or whatever software you want to use. And we want to use that to first deliver value, but then better understand their current situation and how we can help. And then simply provide the solution by offering them the opportunity to work with us. This is a loose format for what that call would look like. Understand their current reality, then get a deeper dive into their desired outcome. Where do they want to go? What are their scoring goals? Why do they want to achieve that? What does that look like inside of their life? We want to further illuminate the gap between where they are right now and where they want to be. We want to provide the solution framework inside of our offer and what we do, our program. And then we want a low pressure invitation to work together. And this is, trying to simplify the sales process as much as possible. You don't have to be a sales professional. You don't have to be a closer. You can still be a coach in this process. You just want to seek to understand them and then provide a low pressure invitation to work with you as the obvious solution to help them get where they want to go. I'm a big fan of structuring your pricing to be more of a high ticket. High ticket is all perspective, but I think that this, positions you as the authority that you are. It gets committed golfers to sign up with you that will actually participate, that will do the practice, that will do the drills that you provide for them, that will track the stats that you want them to track, and that will actually get the result that was promised. And initially structuring your program in a specific time window, like an 8-week, a 12-week, a 16-week initial commitment phase, that will get someone that is committed, that actually wants to put in the work to achieve the outcome or the goal that they've set out for themselves. And they understand that it's a process. It's not I buy a lesson from you and I'm fixed, and now I get to play great golf, because that's not the reality of the situation. They need long-term coaching, transformational coaching from you. And these are just some ideas, again, that you will have access to again later, that you can look through around how to structure this program, what would be included, potential price points, and then setting up your offer to make sense to get the most amount of people excited about it and wanting to sign up. Last thing is that we obviously, once we get a client, we have to do a great job of delivering. And then not only that, we want to keep this client for as long as possible and continue to deliver results for them and help them in their journey of playing better golf. The key things in this process is most coaches I speak with, they're amazing at what they do. They can get results for their clients once they sign up and participate. We want to optimize the experience for online, which is different than in person, because in person you get that feedback, you get that experience of being, face to face, of having that interaction. So online, to recreate that, we want to make sure the process is structured, that they're going to get things like a welcome kit that clearly defines expectations and shows them what the process is going to look like, pre-frames the duration and time and expectations around results and how fast it's going to come, starts to show them what this experience is going to look like, what the communication cadence should be, how they can reach out to you. We then want to kick off session and onboarding that will walk them through everything that they need to know, right? It's going to get an assessment of where their game is right now, so comprehensive assessment. It's going to establish the end result that we want to achieve. It's going to give them a relative time frame that it's going to take to achieve that. And it's going to really clearly lay out what it looks like inside of our program to access us, to communicate with us, how that feedback's going to happen, potential milestones and expectations around that. So they know up front exactly what this is going to look like. There's no questions. We also want to make sure that they get set up on our system. They get integrated into our app, like V1. They understand how to exchange videos. They understand how to message us and communicate with us. And then we want to deliver quick wins for our clients as much as we can. So what's the first thing that we can do to get them an initial win and start to really buy into the process? This is a rough example of what that would look like inside of an 8-week core program that someone was starting with. You can take this, model it, adopt it, and adapt it to whatever you want yours to look like. The other key thing in this process in steps to a really successful business is maximizing the lifetime value of a client. So how long they stay with us, how much they ultimately spend with our business. These are the best clients that stay with us for a very long time, that buy everything that we have to offer because they get the most transformation out of our coaching. So having other things to sell people is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You want that inside of your business. And this is an example of what that could look like. You have your core program that people start in. They then can go into ongoing support after that core program. You can also offer, quarterly VIP in-person clinics where you host them and have 12 people come to your location to experience that with you. And you can even do things like white glove experiences for clients that desire to have that. There are people that will pay significant amounts of money to potentially have you come to them and do a 3-day intensive experience in this fashion. To kind of go through an overview of what we just talked about and how to start to implement this stuff, just a recap. Stage 1, you need content that drives traffic and awareness that gets more people to understand who you are. Then once we have that, we need a way to capture this attention into leads, prospects who are raising their hand, who are showing interest in the next step. And you do that through micro magnets, lead magnets, free resources, or free experiences like a swing analysis, an initial lesson, an assessment of some kind that gives them that initial taste of what it would be like to work with you, gives them initial value, helps them to a quick win. That will nurture, warm up the prospect to the idea of working with you. Then once we capture this lead, we have contact information from them. We want to nurture and follow up with them over time. We want to qualify them in this process. A lot of the money online is made in the follow-up process. It's not expecting someone will buy on day one, but realizing that the vast majority will buy many months into the future. And so staying in front of them and staying in regular communication with them is key. Then we need a conversion or sales process, right? We need a trigger that gets them onto a call that allows for us to understand their desires better, what they're trying to achieve, and then a soft call to action to work with us. And then we need a delivery process that's consistent and that allows for us to have the best experience when it comes to online, which is a bit different than in person. General metrics that you want to track in all of this. We want to start to track our weekly view counts on a social media platform. Are we getting enough attention to even have the system work? We want to understand how much of that attention is starting a conversation with us. We want to understand how much of that is opting into emails. We want to know when someone joins our email list, how many of them will eventually jump onto that call, that initial coaching experience, that discovery call with us to potentially become a client. And then we also want to know on those calls, how many actually sign up, how many actually exchange money with us and become a student of ours online. And when you start to track these numbers and metrics over time, that's how you build a system for client acquisition and have an engine inside of your business that you can either do more of or refine to get more students when you want them. Without tracking these numbers, without this understanding, it very much feels like we're just throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks and kind of hoping. So that's a bit of the overview of the process. How you want to go about implementing this, I would take this in steps, not try to do it all at one time. The first thing is get a content foundation going. We should, in 1 to 2 weeks, be up and running and have a system for regularly producing, that 3 to 7 posts every single week. We then want to understand what our lead capture system is. Like, do we have a landing page that offers something of value where we can get contact information? Then we start to promote that through social media. Then we have to attach an email nurture sequence to that, right? We can start initially manually because there's probably not going to be a lot of leads coming through, but very quickly we want that to be automated. And then when we start having our first clients and conversations, we want to make sure our conversion and delivery system is on point. So how are we getting people to sign up? And then what does that look like once they do, so that their experience was super high quality? And that's the overview. That's the map to kind of building a consistent client acquisition system when it comes to online. Cool.
Unbelievable. That's I think it's really interesting because a lot of these guys, a lot of the folks who are viewing this and are here presently, they're in different phases of this roadmap, right? Whether they're further along, they've got the toolkit from a landing page, or they're interacting with leads currently and trying to really just tighten up that conversion, or folks who say, hey, I don't really have anything yet. But to be honest, they do have more than they think, especially that phase 1 with content. I mean, if you're a V1 Pro and you've been doing voiceover lessons, you have a treasure trove of content in which you can optimize. And we've got functionality to be able to share that to social media. So, yeah, a lot of guys they're further along than they think. But I appreciate you kind of walking through that. I mean, that's golden. That playbook is unbelievable. So appreciate you walking through that. In the next segment here, we're going to go through some Instagram. So some folks have submitted their Instagram handles for you, Dan, to assess in regards to the funnel and how they're leveraging content, et cetera. So we'll take some time and go through those.
Awesome. And just one quick question too that came up in the chat that I think would be relevant to answer before diving into that. So there's some context behind it, but for the lead magnets, because that's a big component in this process, is like, okay, we generate some attention, some traffic. How do we get them to take the next step? What should this thing be that I'm offering? That there's no perfect one size fits all thing that's going to magically convert everybody. And there's many different ways that you could take this. And you probably eventually want to have multiple lead magnets that you're putting out there. So the question was, like, 4 lead magnets, do we recommend doing a free swing analysis or another type of content? I would recommend doing multiple things. But at first, like, picking something like a free swing analysis, the reason that it is, a go-to for most people is because it's a higher intent prospect that is clearly demonstrating that they have an issue that they want your help to solve, and that you're an expert in solving, right? Like, they're raising their hand to say, like, hey, I have issues in my game that I think is a result of poor mechanics in my swing, and I'm bought into you enough to get your expertise and feedback. And it's kind of this doctor frame, which is really useful in the sales conversation, which is like, hey, like, I don't know what I don't know. I'm not very good at this. My swing probably isn't where it needs to be. I would like to get your expert opinion on this. And then that allows for you to very quickly to go into a sales conversation. So that's why that is valuable. It is used quite frequently. So that might be the downside now, is that many coaches are offering this. So how do you differentiate and do something a little bit different? I think that's important. And over time, you will want to establish different lead magnets. So things that are like smaller first steps. So this could be like sending drills. These are kind of more like passive things where the prospect doesn't have to do as much. Because if you think about a swing analysis, they're going to have to submit a form, submit their swing. Then they're going to have to wait for you to reply, and then, actually use that information to go improve. And the mistake, I think, a lot of times is in a free swing analysis is that you get the video, you do the voiceover and provide the feedback, and then you just send it to them. What is happening now with that prospect is they think they got what they needed, right? And so they're now going to go try to implement what you just gave them. And basically, like, we're going to delay the sales process, because they're going to try to be like, okay, like, great, I know what I need to practice now. Let me go do this for a couple months and I'll come back to you. We don't necessarily want that. So if you're going to do a free swing analysis, what I would recommend is that you have them submit their swing, you do the analysis, but then you say the next step in the process is for us to jump on a call where I can review this with you. And now that works a lot better, because now you can illuminate the bigger gap in this process, which is like, hey, these are the initial things that I saw. This is what I would do potentially over the next 90 days to start to improve these things. And then ask the simple question of like, are you looking to go execute on this on your own and try to navigate many of the things that might come up in this process, or do you want some help? And that simple question of like, do you want help with this? That will allow you to convert a lot more of those free swing analysis to actual clients. So that's a big one to consider there. Another question that did come up inside of that is like, how often should you be contacting leads who didn't buy right away? Most people think that they're being annoying by reaching out to people too often. I very rarely see that to be the case. I think most people are busy. And so that's the frame I always take in everything, is like, if someone's not responding, they're not seeing my email, they're not writing back, whatever, like, they're busy. We're all busy. And so I choose to take that opinion versus like taking the opinion of like, oh, they think I'm annoying, they hate me, they never want to chat with me, they're not interested, all those things, like these stories that we create that we don't really know. So it depends on the form of contact. If we are doing automated email sequences, when someone initially joins my list, typically I would send one a day for 5 to 7 days. So like, be in front of them every single day. If I start a DM conversation through a platform like Instagram, I'm going to have the conversation back and forth until they stop responding. And then typically within a couple days, 2-3 days, I'm going to try to start that conversation again by reaching back out to them. Because again, like, my frame is they just got busy. We're thinking about people that are probably on their phone in between stuff at work or with family or whatever. And honestly, like, most of the time they just do get busy. So I try to restart that within 2 or 3 days. Then if it continues to like stall, the follow-up process for Messenger is more like once a week, until basically they tell me like, hey, stop contacting me, I'm not interested. Cool. Email, I would have the initial sequence, and then I would have a regular broadcast email list where I just send to everybody that's on my contact list. That happens. Like, I'm a fan of emailing a lot. I think the more you email, the more opportunity you have. And if people get annoyed by you emailing them, they probably weren't going to sign up to work with you anyway. So I know people that effectively email once a day, even multiple times a day. Do you have to do that? No. And I probably wouldn't recommend that for most coaches starting out, because they're not great at writing emails and that would overwhelm them. But once a week at minimum is not annoying to people. And, so I think we got to, change our frame on that, because it's genuinely not. Like, if you're sending valuable stuff, they probably enjoy your name popping up in their email inbox and are looking forward to it. I recommend for some of my coaches up to 3 times a week, just staying in front of people. So yeah, and then last question was paid ads and boosting posts to get more views. I do love paid ads and I do boost posts. How you do that is really important, or else you will waste money. But the simplest strategy on a platform like Instagram is to just hit the boost button. Don't do it on your phone, because there's 30% upcharge by Apple if you're on iPhone. Do it in browser. But yeah, the simplest strategy is a piece of content that performed well organically, to boost that to get more traffic, and ultimately get more eyeballs. But you want that post to have a call to action or an action that somebody's going to take from it, so that they can either follow you or comment or send you a DM, so we can track a bit of how that's performing. But yeah, that's a great topic. We should probably put in the bank for maybe doing it in a couple months. Organic content next month, maybe paid ads a month after, and we can dive deeper into it.
Great. Appreciate it.
Long answer to a short question, but
multiple questions that everyone's been asking. So I mean, it's everything on the head there. So all right, let's get into the Instagram post for sure.
Cool. Let's do it. All right. So some of what was submitted this week was really just posts on Instagram for a bit of feedback. So this is starting to understand how to create content with intent. So why are we putting out these posts, and what are we looking for these posts to ultimately do? And then understanding a bit of the format per platform. And again, we'll deep dive into this next month, because I think this is a really valuable topic for most coaches. Something that I always tell clients that I work with is that you could be the best coach in the world with the best information, but if you don't present it in a way that is digestible or that is formatted for the platform that you're posting it on, no one's going to ultimately see it or be interested in consuming it. And so that's why the format and the way that these things are structured and presented are so important, because it's not always about the value behind it. Coaches who have less knowledge and less actual experience, less actual value that they can give to a student, will get more reach and attention by the fact that they understand how to play the game on social media. So the first thing right off the bat with a post like this and a screenshot and then carousel that goes through, sorry to V1, but my first advice is I would not put logos on anything on a post in social media at all. If you want to obviously collaborate with V1 and support them, you can tag them in the caption, which will do more for them anyway. What Instagram has stated from their CEO is that if you put any kind of logos and watermarks in your videos or posts, they will perform worse. So that is one consideration right off the bat. Second is this is just looks like a screenshot of inside the V1 app on phone. I don't really know what this is, what it's a screenshot of. Obviously I get that these are clients and screenshots of just the app, because I know what that kind of looks like, but this really isn't doing anything for me to stop me. So if this came up in my feed, I wouldn't understand the context of what this is at all. I would then have to look into the caption to try to understand, but we have to realize that people won't even read this caption over here unless the image or the video hooks them in first. So that initial experience and impression is so important, often called the hook. So obviously we're announcing partnership with V1 Golf Out, which is amazing. But the ways that I would potentially think to do that differently, lead with a video. That will always perform better. But then on top of that, I have the sound off right now, and 80 to 90% of content consumed on a platform like Instagram is consumed with the sound off. So anytime you are doing a voiceover, and this is great style of content that you do want to produce and put out there, I would auto add captions through a software like CapCut or Veed, or even just the Instagram captions, adding it through their platform, so someone can read what is being said as it's being said. That will be huge to having more retention. So lead with the video. That will attract more people to sticking around and potentially watching, and then have the other slides come up after that. And even this last slide of just the logo, I might use this to have text on screen and explain more about what this kind of partnership means inside of the carousel. So yeah, the big things is the first slide, it has to tell me why I should even click to the next one. So that's often called the hook, and it's just very clear like, this is the promise of value inside of this post. This is what you're going to get out of it. This is why you should stop and take some of your time to even consider reading this and looking forward. And, it's kind of just like announcing the fact that you're going to be offering this now. Not a bad thing to have. I think just the formatting is something I would change a little bit on it. Cool. I'm going to dive to another one. You'll notice a theme when I'm overviewing any of this content, which a lot of it is going to be about the formatting, the way that it is presented. Because again, so many times it's not the information that's bad. It's that we are not putting it in a format that will perform well on that specific platform. And then because of that, no one sticks around to consume the valuable content. So this is not a bad video at all. And like immediately, the things that I would say is in the first 3 seconds of the video, I want a text overlay on the screen. And maybe that did happen. I can't rewind on browser. I could on my phone, but I really want a text overlay to pop up on the screen that displays exactly what this video is about and why I should stick around. I want this video, because there's a lot of talking happening, to have captions, because I'm watching with the sound off right now, which is the default setting on Instagram. And so you lost me, because if I'm in a place where, I'm sitting in a waiting room, I'm at work, I'm, sitting on the couch with my family, I don't want to blast them with the content that I'm watching. I want to consume this with captions on it, which is why you see almost like the vast majority of videos on Instagram all have captions, which are just what is being said displayed in text on the screen as it's going. That will help this perform much better. And then two, with this written caption, the caption that appears below the video, that it's just very simplified. Like, I would want to give more in this, because here's the other thing. Some people will want to watch this entire video. Some will see what it's about and they'll want to read the value instead. So what I would do is basically take a summary of the value you gave in the video and then put that in the caption as well, and have it be a longer caption that will entertain people and allow them to read and basically get the same experience out of reading as they would if they watched the entire thing. So those are some things that will help with that, is like text on screen the first 3 seconds, what is going to happen in this video. And then we'll talk through next month on how to write those hooks, then captions on the video, and then a longer text-based written caption below the video that delivers the value as well. But overall, like the video is high quality, nothing wrong with that. It's just the way that it's displayed that will, if we do a few things, it'll help it perform a lot better. So Claude, we have here with a video that immediately stands out to me is formatting. So the Instagram, you can do videos like this that are 16:9, which is just widescreen. You can do that effectively on Instagram, but the vast majority of content that's produced on the platform and the way that it is consumed on phone, this video would be hard to see, small, and not very enticing for the vast majority of people, unless they already had a relationship with Claude, and so that's why they decided to watch. I would reformat this to 9:16, which is vertical, which means like it would fit your phone screen, so that it's more immersive experience on the platform. The other things is text overlay on screen the first 3 seconds that says what this video is going to be about, right? I would have captions that are appearing on screen as he's talking, and so that if I'm watching this with the sound off, I can get the same experience. And then I would also write a text-based caption underneath that describes what the video is about. Those small things will help a bit. And then there's a lot of other things, right? Like we're going to have to work on the editing, potential overlays throughout, what the video is actually about, the hook, all those things. But initially it's just, resize it to fit the format, have captions, and have a text overlay in the first 3 seconds that says what it's about, write the caption below. Those would all help perform. Even if this was the exact same video, it would help it perform better. So same things immediately. Not that you can't have videos like this on Instagram, and there are some times that changing up the format and being different will attract people to watching. The thing for me on this, because of the way that it is displayed, I'm having a hard time seeing what is being demonstrated, right? It's just too far away. And so what would make this more immersive of an experience is if I took this and zoomed it to fit the format of 9:16, and I showed more of Steve in frame, and I could actually see this drill. I could be more immersed in the experience of seeing it, right? Because most of this is being consumed on the phone. And so this is just basically, I'm not going to be able to really see what's going on. Also, having text stuff pop up is good. We really want to focus on the first 3 seconds, the text that pops up that describes, right, this right here, use a simple drill to help stop coming over the top. I like it. Not bad, right? Like that is the hook that we want to initially get people excited about potentially watching this video. So really that's not a bad one. Little things that we could potentially change about it. I would zoom in the video. I would keep this on there. Big thing is I'd have captions to what Steve is saying as he's walking you through the drill, so people can read the words that are on screen. And then I'd make this more immersive by zooming in. And then there's other things. We could add edits to that as well. We could have lines and arrows and circles and different things that just, make this more experiential, more exciting. You also want camera movement to be happening through a video when you're doing drills to keep people enticed. This is amazing quality content by a great instructor that people are just not watching because it's not presented in a way that will get them to watch. And so that's what I would recommend doing to try to help this perform even better. And again, any of this content stuff, next month, we'll dive really deep into the weeds on it if you guys want. We'll talk about the details, tactics, strategies of organic content marketing. So
I love when you go through those, and those are super actionable, and we definitely get some feedback of guys who make those edits and those changes after you provide those insights, Dan. So again, we appreciate you, and thanks to those who submitted for sure.
And so, it's a reminder on that too, just because I think it's valuable. Like it's an iterative process. Like I can't give you any one thing that's all of a sudden going to make your content blow up and have you go viral. Like it's the same. Like a golfer comes to you for a Band-Aid solution and says, hey, I'll buy a lesson and you fix me and then I play great golf, right? It's not how it works, right? You can help them in that moment, but they need to solidify and take that stuff to practice and to the course. And then it's a constant game of improving it over time. Take the same attitude towards content creation, which is like, hey, it's minor 1% improvements done over time. You want to track the data on these things. And it's a constant iteration. It's a constant getting better. It's a constant practice. That's the reality of the online game. Like you got to play that game or like you're just going to be irrelevant when it comes to online. Yeah. I mean, you could be amazing. You have amazing book of business in person, but no one will know who you are. No one will get the value out of your expertise and your knowledge and instruction unless you're willing to improve in that game. And so I think it's just the attitude to take to it is constant, iterative, 1% better, practice the skill of presenting yourself on the internet.
Very well said. Awesome. So that brings us to the end of today's session. Thanks for being here and engaging with us, obviously. And before we wrap up, Dan, any final thoughts or takeaways? I know you just kind of, provided that out there, but that you want to leave everyone with before next month?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is just a commitment to the process. If making money on the internet was easy, everybody would do it and everyone would be millionaires. But that's not the reality of it. And it's just, you have knowledge, expertise, this ability to help more and serve more people. It's just a willingness to commit to the process of learning and understanding and iterating, adapting, like doing things a little bit differently. And if you can do that, you'll have so much more for it. Like you'll impact so many more people and you'll be able to actually like build a business that supports you long-term. So yeah, I would just take that approach to everything.
Thanks, Dan. And again, big thank you to everyone who joined us today. If you're interested in connecting directly with Dan, building your engagement tools, or learning how to operationalize our online lesson program, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email us at sales@v1sports.com. We appreciate your time and see you next month for another edition of our webinar series. Thanks.